Hey, welcome back to the Chili Prepper channel. Coming to the end of the season for gardening, and of course we're all into prepping. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to transition and start doing some more prepping videos through the winter. It's time to freeze dry some eggs. So today we're going to show you a quick video. It's not going to be very long, start to finish, of what it's like to make and use freeze-dried eggs. Now I know everybody doesn't have a freeze dryer, and that's okay. It's something that it took me a long time to get one too. My wife actually got mine. I'll skip over a lot of the boring stuff. You've seen freeze dryers out there. I won't show you going in and out of the freeze dryer and all that kind of thing, but I want to show you how easy it is to freeze dry eggs. And you don't have to refrigerate them. You keep them in the cupboard. They'll last for technically forever, I guess. For most of us, 25 years is forever. It's definitely something that if you're into long-term preparedness, if you're into being a prepper, if you have chickens at home, which I don't have chickens right now, but I keep kicking that idea around. I really, a big part of me wants to have my own chickens here. And who knows, maybe over the winter I'm going to build a big chicken coop. My thing is, I'm a giant animal lover. So if I'm going to have them, it's going to be the Taj Mahal of chicken coops. They're not just going to be there for eggs, they're going to be pets. And I get attached to anything that's an animal. I just wanted to quickly show you how easy this was. And if you can save, if you can figure out a way to get a freeze dryer, there's so many things you can do. It's kind of the ultimate prep. So check this out. Super easy. I got a bunch of these eggs from somebody I work with. I used my most basic blender. I've got the Ninja over there. All you need is a blender. You don't even need a blender if you want to do it by hand. But I'm lazy. So all you got to do is go through and crack the eggs. Now, typically do 12 eggs per tray. I have medium freeze dryers. So with my medium freeze dryers, that's 4 trays in each one. So 48 eggs in one run of a freeze dryer. When it comes out like a powder, and you just stick it in a mason jar or however you want to store it. I suggest a glass jar, mason jar, and seal it up really good. Put an oxygen absorber in there, and it's gonna last you. Then after they're in that mason jar and you're using them throughout, honestly, the best ways I've found and to use freeze-dried eggs is scrambled eggs or baking with eggs. Now, we're going to show you the actual way of weighing it, weighing the trays, so you can kind of get a real accurate account for how much one egg is when you're making something. But from my experience, what works for me is 2 tablespoons of egg powder to 2 tablespoons of water, or you can do a tablespoon of water and a tablespoon of milk or heavy cream, which is something I do when I'm making scrambled eggs. I like them to be nice and fluffy, so milk, half and half, heavy creamer, whatever you want to use. So this quick, we just went through, and I know I'm not the cleanest with eggs. We just went through and got 12 eggs. Okay, had to stop and wash my hands before I did this. So after that, after you get them all in there, is get that blender going. Boy, she's not sounding so good today, huh? It's an old one. Okay, just blend them all up. Take your, now I do use Harvest Right. Take your Harvest Right trays. Let me get you focused down here so you can kind of see what it does. And literally all you're gonna do is pour your eggs on the tray. There's nothing to it, guys. If you have a freeze dryer, there is no reason why you shouldn't be doing eggs. Even store-bought eggs. I know these are fresh eggs, but you can store them forever. Okay, forgive me on the camera angles. I don't do a whole lot of kitchen videos yet. I'm learning. Literally, just fill up your tray, go through, do 4 trays, stick them in the freeze dryer, turn it on. I always add a bunch of extra dry time because you want them super dry. Let it run its cycle and it'll come out. I'll show you a couple clips of what it looks like as a powder, And then I've already got some done. We'll take you over and show you what it's like to make an omelet. Couple little pro tips if you've already got a freeze dryer or the first time you get to do this. If you don't want to stick with my generic measurement of 2 tablespoons of powder to 2 tablespoons of water is 1 egg. Now, trust me, it works well, but you can adjust it from there. All you have to do is get yourself a little food scale, and you want to weigh your tray. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. I'm going to show you the way I found was easiest for me. But turn her on, and you want to record the weight of the tray. Now, most of your Harvest Right trays come out to almost exactly the same, 25.35 ounces. So if we switch our units, we can go 719 grams, 1.58 pounds. Okay, you can either put the tray on the scale, zero the weight, or the tare feature out, pour your eggs on there, and you'll know exactly how much the eggs weigh before they go into the freeze dryer. Then you want to remember that weight of the tray. When you come back out, weigh the whole thing again, subtract the amount of the tray. So I always do it with the tray. I know there's some people that use that tare feature. But then you want to find out the actual weight of just what the eggs lost. Divide that by 12. That'll give you a pretty accurate account if you want to be perfect, if you've got OCD or anything like that. But trust me when I say 2 tablespoons of powder to 2 tablespoons of water. You can adjust a little bit from there if you want it a little bit thicker, if you want it a little bit more runny. One more pro tip, when you have a freeze dryer, our houses aren't all perfectly level floors. So yeah, the first tray I just did and showed you, I put it here and carried it into the freeze dryer. That can be dangerous. The liquid starts sloshing around. It can be hard sometimes. I made it that time without spilling any. The one thing I did find is take your tray, put it halfway into your tray holder so it's staying there in the Harvest Right, and then take your blender and pour it in and then just slide it in the rest of the way. Trust me, it will help you a lot. Okay, another little tip, if you've got a big garden or you're into gardening like I am, especially if you're into making sure your soil's good, and if you have a freeze dryer. Now, you can do it without a freeze dryer. You can dry out these eggshells, crush them up, put them in with your soil. Be aware, there's a lot of people out there who say things like, oh, tomatoes have blossom end rot, throw some eggshells in there. It won't help. It takes a long time to break down eggshells. I've actually done it in small pieces and watched over the years to see how long it takes. And it's usually 3 years or so before I don't see them in the soil at all. Now, it's different if you have a freeze dryer. So the next video, we're going to freeze dry some garlic. And I won't have enough to fill up all 4 trays. It's a lot of garlic to do that. So on the bottom tray, I'll throw all my eggshells in there and freeze dry them, and then crush them to a powder and add them to the soil this winter so it can sit out there and work its magic and boost the calcium production. And there's all kinds of other stuff in those eggshells. So just a way to recycle and reuse, and it helps your plants tremendously. Okay, I'm not going to make you wait for that freeze dryer to run because it's going to be at minimum 24 hours. Probably much longer than that because I make sure they're super dry. But I have the powder from, let's see, January 20th, 23. And we will use that. We'll go over to the stovetop and I'll show you what it's like to make an omelet with it. Okay, I decided it was just going to be easier to use the induction, make it a little bit easier for video. 2 tablespoons of powder, 2 tablespoons of water. Now, I may have messed up. I don't want anybody yelling at me later and said 1 and 1 with either milk or half and half or heavy cream. To make an exact 1 egg or almost exact 1 egg, it's 2 tablespoons of powder to 2 tablespoons of water, and then you can add, if you're cooking like you traditionally would, you crack an egg in there and you want to mix it in. If you want it a lot thicker, that's where I say you can put in your milk or half and half instead. So we're going to go ahead and just do it the traditional way. It doesn't have to be perfect. 1, and that's one egg's worth of powder. Now we're just going to do a little omelet, so I'm just going to do 2 eggs, I guess. And I've got my little skillet here. There's 2 eggs. Now for the sake of time, I went ahead and just put water in here. There's 4 tablespoons of water. Now let me show you what it does when you get to mixing this up. Let's go with this guy. You want to make sure that you allow this to mix in fully and rehydrate that powder. Now, yeah, it can take a little while. If you've ever rehydrated stuff, you definitely want to make sure, if you want the best taste, you don't want lumps in it or anything like that. So usually I'll do that. Then I'm going to let it sit for a few minutes and I'll whisk it again, stick some half and half in there, and then we'll cook. We'll be right back. Okay, we're at the point where, let's say we crack 2 eggs into the bowl. Now I'm going to add a little bit of half and half just to make the eggs nice and fluffy. And it's also going to help with the rehydration. Now, I always throw a little bit of butter in there. I'm not making this because I'm an expert cook. I'm making this because I do a lot of freeze drying. So, don't kill me in the comments about how I cook, please. All right, get you some butter in there. Take your eggs, just like you would make them if they were fresh cracked eggs. You don't treat them any different. You can make omelet, you can make scrambled eggs, whatever you like. It works good for both. But for the sake of time and ease, I'm just going to put together some scrambled eggs. Now, I just wanted to go through and do all this because there's always people who doubt when you freeze dry stuff, and I get it. If you haven't done it, you don't have one, or haven't tasted somebody else's, trust me, I understand. But you can already see how it turns out. The chili pepper way is put cheese on everything. So we're going to throw some cheese on there. We'll throw the lid on there just to get that cheese to melt, and then we'll show you the end result. See what you think. Okay, I think we're good enough. That rest of that cheese is going to melt on its own. So let's see if we can just, hang on, let's do this the easy way. Oh, I got those a little overdone on the bottom, but they'll be good to go. I got them a little bit too done. I don't use this new wave very often on the bottom, but they're gonna be good. There's what you get. Let's see how they turned out. I'm not a big fan of watching people eat on video, so I'm not gonna make you suffer through a bunch of it. You honestly can't tell that they were freeze dried when you do them this way. Now, there is its limitations. Scrambled eggs, bacon with eggs, omelets, stuff like that is perfect for. Obviously, you can't do much else with them. You're not going to make fried eggs with a freeze-dried egg. But this is a way you can store your eggs almost indefinitely. Obviously, it's not indefinitely. They say 20 to 25 years. We're going to find out because I've been doing this not that long, obviously, yet. But we'll see when we hit that point. Hopefully you like this. Be real careful in your area. Don't think you're going to get out there and sell a bunch of this. Check your local laws. When you're dealing with fresh eggs and things like that, there's a lot of restrictions. This is for home use only. I truly think it's the best way to store long term. You can keep proteins stored in your cabinet, not refrigerated, but freeze-dried eggs are the way to go, and they taste awesome. Hopefully you liked one of my first cooking videos, I guess you want to call it. We're going to do a couple more through the winter time as it pertains to prepping and gardening and that kind of thing. Let me know down in the comments if you have any ideas of what you would like to see through the winter. It's going to get tough for me. It's my first, actually, it's only about my 3rd month of doing YouTube, but it's my first winter of doing YouTube. So I'm really curious to see what the subscribers of this channel want to see. Let me know down below, and I'll see what I can do for you. We'll see you next time.